Good morning! These are the cards from the courses I've played. And on these cards there's a lot of local rules that you may never have heard of back home here in England or wherever you live. But before I get into that, first I need to say thank you to the people who live in Thailand, play golf in Thailand, who came in on the green fees. How much does green fees in Thailand cost? They've got a wealth of knowledge, far more than me, and experience. So if you're looking to play rural, if you're looking to play the cheaper end courses, perhaps have a road trip adventure where you land at Bangkok and drive up country and stop off at rural golf courses along the way, seek them out in the comments. Ask them a question. They know far more than I do. So, local rules in Thailand, the sort of thing that you may not come across here. Let's start with the obvious one. I go at the end of the rainy season, so I'm going in the middle of November-ish. October is a very wet month. They get a good portion of that 4.5 metres of rain that they get every year. The golf courses get washed out, and it's the equivalent of trying to play golf in England at the end of March. Tees are dressed, greens are dressed and hollow-tined, the fairways are soft and muddy. There's areas where the greenkeepers are starting to do some re-turfing. There's loads of GUR because it's been chewed up by feet all through the winter. And I choose to do that, to go at that time of year, because cloud cover keeps it. I don't get the sun in my eyes if the sun isn't in the sky. So there's always going to be things related to the fact that the previous month it was tipping it down. I have been in October. You can play golf in October, but it's incredibly wet. I've also been in February, where there isn't a cloud in the sky. All the golf courses are dry and in pristine condition, but the sun boils my head. I finish every round of golf with a blinding headache, so I just don't go at that time of year. So my list of local rules. Well, the first one is winter rules, naturally. Because your driver's going splat and it may bury or it may hop out, you're basically playing lift, clean and place. Now you won't do that on every golf course in November. You won't do it on every hole in November. You know, at Loch Palm it was maybe 5 or 6 holes, Red Mountain it was 4 or 5 holes, Laguna and Aquella, I think it was just 1 hole each. But occasionally you're going to get to your ball, it's covered in mud, and you're going to do a lift, clean and place. Of course, what comes with the winter rules is the GUR. They do a lot of maintenance at the beginning of November. I was quite surprised at Loch Palm how they were stripping off the 13th fairway. But everything grows very quickly in Thailand. It recovers very, very quickly. If you go at the end of December, January and February, you're not going to see any of that GUR. And a lot of these cards cover the abnormal ground condition. So when I was on the first at Aquella and I sliced it away into the water and I got a drop a long way from the water, it looked very cheaty, very generous. But of course the entire bank was mud. It had been washed away by the amount of water flowing off. And when I say the amount of water, you know, it can run a couple of inches deep through October running off the side there. And you get the patches in the green. And it's just a question of being sensible about it. The other thing is these areas may not be marked as GUR. Some will be, but not all. They probably ran out of paint or they ran out of GUR signs. So, you know, you come across a condition where either it's washed out by the amount of rain or they're doing some patching. Well, it's quite simple. You just move your ball to a location where you can play it. You take that nearest point of relief, and that nearest point of relief may be several yards away. Drop zones. Where you've got a forced carry over water, you're quite likely to find a drop zone. Not on every course. I've played courses where there isn't a single drop zone in sight. Some courses it will be par 3s over water only. Some courses it might be your second shot over water to a par 4 green. They aren't always gimme positions. There's also drop zones for jungle on some golf courses. They don't want you going in the jungle looking for balls. You've got snakes, you've got spiders, you've got centipedes, you've got ants, which I'll mention later. They don't want you going in there. At Red Mountain, not that I've used one myself, but at Red Mountain we're driving along and I noticed a white painted circle and a DZ sign stuck in it. I thought, oh, drop zone. And the caddy on the other side of the car, yeah, it said if you go in the jungle, you can take a drop there. Okay, fair enough. Flower beds. Now over here in England, if you overshoot the 9th or the 18th green, where they come back to the clubhouse, and you go into the flower bed round the clubhouse, generally out of bounds, aren't you? You've got to go back and replay the shot. That ball you just knifed out of the bunker, well, you've got to go back and drop in the bunker, haven't you, and replay the shot. That isn't always the case in Thailand. You're looking at these cards and looking at my previous rounds of golf. It's very rare for the flower bed to be actually out of bounds. Occasionally it is. Sometimes it's a one-stroke penalty, and sometimes it's a free drop. Aquella, it's the Aquella card here says that all of these areas which are planted are environmentally sensitive, and it's a compulsory free drop. So there you go. Read the card, otherwise you might make a mistake. Another thing is ornamental grass. The most notable one for this is Siam Country Club Plantation, where you've got the fairway, then you've got a stretch of rough, and then you've got yard deep ornamental grass. Now when I first started playing there, 2008, it was very sparse. It had just been recently planted, so you could walk into it, find your ball and chip out. You couldn't make a full swing, but you could get the ball out. Then it got very dense, and that ornamental grass is treated as a water hazard. So you slice your ball into the stuff. Now that it's solid knee deep, you don't go in it because of snakes, but the caddy will go in it, have a quick search for your ball, and then you follow the one-stroke penalty water hazard rules. This one is going to get you. Tree roots. A lot of the trees out in Thailand, the roots kind of like run above ground for yards in all directions. I was playing a course, I can't remember where it was, but it was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was, and I'd just gone into the edge of the trees. We get to the ball and it's by a tree root. Oh God, I'm just going to chip out sideways. Caddy says, free drop. I said, sorry. Free drop. Free drop from tree roots. Caddies like to give you generous drops to put a smile on your face and make your day go nice. I said, you're kidding. This I just got to chip this out. And she, no, free drop. So I took the free drop away from the tree roots and carried on playing the hole. When we got to the next tee, I took the card off the steering wheel, turned it over, read the local rules, and sure enough, tree roots, free drop. I've got about 7 cards here, and I've been through the local rules on these. About 4 of the courses there, 3 or 4 of the courses, if you're on tree roots, you get a free drop. Ants. Playing Siam Old Course, and I just pushed my tee shot into the right rough. There was a number of spindly little immature trees, none of them staked unfortunately, and it was in the shade, so while we waited for the green to clear, I just stood in the shade. Next thing I know is my legs are on fire. There's a lot of ants in Thailand under the trees, and they hurt a lot. And the big soldier ants, which can be an inch long, they've got massive jaws, and what they all do is they will attack. They're quite capable of piercing the skin, and when you try and brush them off, the body breaks off, but the head and the jaws are still stuck in the skin. And of course they sting quite badly. Fortunately, one of the caddies had something in a bag, treated my legs, and how I didn't feel them going up my legs, I don't know. Treated my legs, and a couple of holes later, the stinging had gone away. I mean, it was pretty damn bad. About 2 years later, I played with a golf society, and I was reading the local rules on the clubhouse wall in the bar, and it was things like if it's cart path only, it's winter rules. If you can drive the fairway, it's not winter rules. And then there was one about ants, free drop from ants. So if you go in under trees, look at the ground, look in the trees, because they will build a huge nest of 1,000 ants in a huge ball in the tree, and just tread carefully. And if there is ants, just drag your ball away. Green edges. What you may see when you get to the green, when you're walking onto the green, is there'll be a cut line in the fringe around the green. And they're trying to stop the rough grass invading the green. Or it might be a creosote line. If you're on this line, which is usually only a couple of inches off the putting surface, you've rolled to the back of the green and you're sat on this cut line. It is cut with a tool. You just move it off it. You just take relief from it. I think that just about covers it, really. So there's a bunch of local rules that you may not come across at home. We all know about winter rules: plug ball, mud ball in the fairway, GUR, just be sensible because they're not all marked up. But when it comes to flower beds, ornamental grass, and don't assume that you're out of bounds, don't assume that you're taking a penalty drop, you just might not. As I say, when it comes to tree roots, what I used to do is I'd go in, I'd assess the situation, and I'd just take my wedge and chip it 4 yards. But now I look at the card to see if it's in fact a free drop to a location where I can swing the golf club properly. There's only one more other thing. Dangerous animal conditions. If you're playing rural, up country, you might get elephants come across the golf course in front of you. The recommendation is to stay out of their way because they're just a smidge bigger than we are. Especially if they've got babies, if they've got youngsters, you don't want to get in the way. Monkeys can be an issue on some golf courses. Where did I see monkeys? Bang Pra golf course. They tend to attack the golf carts while you're putting. They're just after food. But they might steal your camera that you're taking photos with. They might steal your mobile phone. The caddies tend to chase them off if they can, but they can be dangerous as well. And then there's obviously snakes. I've seen king cobras, I've seen the ones which are they're about that long and about as thick as your thumb, and they are very dangerous. You can't always spot them. You can see a cobra because they're bloody big things, but you can't always spot the little ones, and they are more dangerous than the cobras. The cobras will go. They will get out of your way. If they see you coming, they're going. But the little ones are sort of like, you know, they can be a bit vicious. You've got monitor lizards as well. Some of them go 6-8 feet long. So you've always got to be aware of the wildlife as well, which is part of the fun. Anyway, I hope this has been useful. I hope it's been insightful about how golf is played slightly differently in different parts of the world. And once again, thanks to the guys in the green fee video who put their input into how you can play considerably cheaper than the international hotspots that I go to. Cheerio.